Uh, looking forward to hearing both the speeches. So as the sergeant at arms for the meeting, we're calling this meeting to order right now. I want to welcome everybody. Excuse me. And on that note, we will be donning the hat of the club president as I welcome everyone and our guests to the Thursday night Vision Masters Toastmasters meeting. I want to say real quickly, and we can elaborate toward the end of the meeting. One, thank you. Thank you, Wesson. Thank you, Henry Hank. Thank you, Dr. Wade. Thank you, Dee Marie Shy King. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, JC. You know, you're wondering, why am I dispersing all these thank yous? And while you feel probably a little good about getting one, you're wondering, what's it for? It's for your being present. It's for your efforts in doing the pathways, being present, supporting the club. We have achieved President's Distinguished. So that is something really awesome. And I kind of feel like the little engine that could in terms of what this means. So thank you, everyone. It's no small feat. And by the way, I'm a little remiss here. Mike, somehow you're not showing up on my screen, Mike.
I see him on my screen.
Okay, well, I'm not showing up on mine. Mike, you definitely had a major role in terms of our club getting things done. As club coach, you were there inspiring, informing, teaching. So thank you, thank you, thank you as well. Everybody, it's a big deal. And I just want to say thank you for our club achieving this goal. So that was the message as president of the club. Now I will turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day, and that would be Wesson Sai.
Thank you, Mr. President and Sergeant at Arms, and good evening, everyone, our guests and members. I'm so grateful too. I know we are struggling a little bit, and I think from the club, Kwaza, Dr. Wade, and I left. Only three of us, but we survived. Thank you, Mike. You have a big role. Thank you, Cynthia. Even she's not here today. Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Hanks, to join us our meeting club, and thank you, Demory. You attend our meeting every Friday, every Thursday, and thank you, Lisa. I appreciate all of you. It's not easy, but really, we are so grateful, and we came here to learn and to teach and to learn from one another. Everybody can teach something. Everybody can learn something too. It's not how you say it. It's not what you say, but how you say it is important. Is communication is the biggest skill, especially for me, especially for us. We came from Africa. Even if we know something, it's always get us back is how to communicate with. You don't know how many times I couldn't pass or couldn't pass um, the interview. I want to say something, but I could not even express. So I am so grateful for Toastmasters meeting, especially as a woman. Especially that's why I like Dimmer as Black lady, and I didn't know how the percentage. So by any means necessary, I have to get my DTA. So that's yeah, that's so I have to get it maybe before JC. I don't know, but but I have to do it. That's when I get, and I'm so grateful to when I heard we are in a distinguished club. What is it? And I thought they're gonna close our meeting, our club. So to be in that position, we are so grateful. And being saying that, Today, I think we're gonna have a special meeting. We have two speakers, and two speakers are the two evaluators. So our first speaker is Marie, and the second speaker is JC. Anyway, I would like to call our general evaluator to introduce his team. I believe Kwaza, are you the general evaluator? Dr. Wade, okay.
Dr. Wade.
Okay, the timer, JC is 6 to 8 minutes, or whoever the timer, I think Hanks is the. Eight to 10.
I think that's my job is to present.
I know, do tell it to let him know, the Hanks, to let him know. JC's speech is, he didn't say it, 8 to 10 minutes. And back to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me communicate and orchestrate my team.
Oh, boy.
First of all, let's have the word of the day so everyone can use it. And our word master grammarian is the one and the only Kawaza Imera. Take it away, Kawaza.
Well, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. The word of the day is communicate or communication. What this means is being able to send or receive information. I find this word very interesting, particularly in these days when there is such an emphasis on information exchange, whether we're getting it from our cell phones, whether we're getting it from our tablet, our computer, whether we're getting it in direct voice to voice. The information exchange is a key part, not just of business, but of our society in general, sharing the personal information from TikTok and social media to what is the latest business information. So it's important that one have good communication skills and be able to communicate well, sending and receiving information. And the other part of communication is being able to interpret properly and respond and act on that information. We'll be listening for this word of the day, how it's used, as well as other verbal and grammatic gems. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kwaza, and onward to our timer, our timekeeper, Henry, the one and the only Henry, better known as Hank Cartwright. Take it away, Hank. Tell us what you're going to do.
Yeah, greetings, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Any guests? As timer, I will time the table topic speakers, the formal speeches, and the evaluations. And I will alert each speaker of the time that they have left using the green, yellow, and the red cards. And so, for table topic speeches, which are to be 1 to 2 minutes, I'll put up the green card at 1 minute, and then yellow at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then the red at 2 minutes. And then for JC's speech, which is 8 to 10 minutes, I'll put up the green card at 8 minutes, the yellow at 9, and the red card at 10 minutes. And for Marie, I'm assuming her speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and so I'll put up the green card at 5, the yellow at 6, and the red card at 7 minutes. And for the evaluations, evaluations are to be 2 to 3 minutes long. So for the evaluations, I'll put up the green card at the 2 minute mark, and then the yellow at the 2 minute and 30 second mark, and then the red card at the 3 minute mark. And you should, I'll make the my window, I'll make the red, yellow, and green color my background like this. And also I'll raise my hand electronically, so I'll be maybe a little bit easier to see. And so, yeah, that's how it will go tonight. Yeah, but thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Hank. Hank, for it looks like you've got it down. Great, great. Okay, and we have two speakers, and each speaker will evaluate each other. At the end of the meeting, I will give my report of the whole meeting. So right now, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, all the team. And at this point, we're gonna go to our prepared speech. I don't think that you exchange the information. So I will ask Dee Marie, what are...
Actually, Madam Toastmaster, I
Mm.
have information on Dee Marie's speech.
Okay, so can you give us her objective so Jesse can hear it?
Sure.
Okay.
So Dee Marie is speaking from the Dynamic Leadership Level 5 pathway. Level 5, the title is Lessons Learned. This is a project for using your leadership and planning skills to develop and organize a speech. Her speech is titled, It Starts at the Club Level. Dee Marie King is a member and leader in Leaders Worldwide. Recently, they had their open house meeting, and it was, in a word, awesome. She is also very active in promoting information education about domestic violence, and she is CEO of her own company, which has that message. Dee Marie King speech is titled, It Starts at the Club Level. Dee Marie King. Dee Marie King. It starts at the club level.
Have you ever had anyone to ask you, why did you join Toastmasters? What is it? And after you got that question, did you ask yourself, am I in the right place? Did I do the right thing by becoming a Toastmaster? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I had that same question at one time. It was only a fleeting question because it didn't last but just a moment, because I knew why I had joined Toastmasters. There were so many things that I wanted to correct, so many things that I wanted to fix. Little did I know that I was embarking on a journey. I thought I joined Toastmasters so I could take the ums and ahs and so's out of my speech. Well, I did that. Then, after I found out about pathways, a whole new world opened up for me. I have never been someone that would be considered funny or humorous. And I know that. Most people mistake me for being deadly serious, which I'm not. But because of Toastmasters, I discovered that I can be humorous. I did the path entitled Engaging Humor. And when I did that, I had an opportunity to participate in a table topics class one Thursday morning on Clubhouse, a social media platform. This particular Thursday morning, they were giving out emojis that they wanted everybody to pretend that they were an emoji. And if they got a certain emoji, how would you react? And I thought, an emoji? I don't even like those things. What? So when they came to me, my emoji was a cricket. What? A cricket? And my response was, how dare you think that I could be as noisy as a little cricket? Those things just all through the night and you can't sleep. The only emoji that I could relate to would be Pac-Man, as I would see him going across the stage, eating the cricket to remove the noise. And as I said all that, the audience just roared with laughter. Not necessarily, but they all smiled, they relaxed, and that was humor. And I had the mistaken idea that humor was supposed to be the slapstick thing that made you fall out in the aisles and just fall over with laughter. Humor is designed to get the attention of your audience. Anytime you speak to a group of people, you want them to become engaged. Humor causes the audience to become engaged with you. But I also found, after joining Toastmasters, that no matter where I was going in Toastmasters or what I was going to do, it all started at the club level. After I discovered that, it was a no-brainer. I took on roles, I delivered speeches, and I fell in love with pathways. I have a platform which is domestic violence, and it stems from the fact that I have a self-published book, a romance novel that's set against the backdrop of the Kentucky Derby. Glass Hard Forever Yours, I had written and published prior to getting into Toastmasters. And when I found out that the backdrop of the Kentucky Derby was one phase or one way to promote it, the actual bone of the book was written against domestic violence. Oh my goodness. Toastmasters helped me to pivot. It helped me to find my voice. And when I did that, it wasn't something frivolous. It wasn't a sportsman's type thing with the racing of the thoroughbred horses. It was protecting and advocating on behalf of humanity, to advocate for survivors of domestic violence. And then I became so excited and so enthused about pathways. In 2022-23, I earned my first Triple Crown. I cannot tell you what that did. After going to my mailbox and finding that little thing in the mailbox, it was over. I was all in. Anywhere I went, anytime anybody asked me about anything, it had to do with Toastmasters. Where else can you possibly find your own voice to represent someone else in a way that you never thought possible? Find your own voice and be able to do what I'm doing tonight. I can speak in a whisper and get you to lean in to hear what I'm saying. Or I can say, I know you hear me because I am so excited. I didn't know to do that before. But Toastmasters has given me the confidence, the believability in myself, and the assurance that my voice has power and it can make a difference. I have the company that I founded, which is Victory Over Violence, and it started out as an LLC. And I said, I love that title, but I want a nonprofit. And I was told the first time I sought to change it, oh, you can't do that. But for those of you who don't know me, I don't take no well. I am determined to see if there's not a way to accomplish what you want to do. I went back, and I can tell you tonight that Victory Over Violence is now a nonprofit organization. I have the ability to seek funding to help the survivors of domestic violence. There are all kinds of funds, there are all kinds of avenues out there that can allow me to be more impactful. I just needed the vehicle. I have been blessed to find that vehicle. By finding my voice, I refuse to take no for an answer, at least until I tried every possible way to make it happen. So what's your platform? What are you representing? What are you standing up for? What on this earth would you like to do something about or change? It's in your hands. You too are a member of Toastmasters, and all you have to do is accept the fact that your voice has power. Stand on that, make a difference, and decide this is the day that I will make a pivot and I will represent the less fortunate, someone who doesn't have a voice, or someone who wants to join Toastmasters and find their voice. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that inspiring, personal to me. And I think everybody like related to everybody's life. And thank you. Mr. Timer, can you give us 90 seconds? Thank you so much, Mr. Timer. Our second speaker is JC. And since he didn't give his objective, I want to let him to explain what's his objective and expect to be evaluated. Then I'm gonna leave the space for him. JC.
Okay. The title of my speech is Rise and Fall. Rise and Fall. The objective basically is to look for all the elements that comprise a good speech. Connectivity, connecting with the audience, the message, how the message relates to the audience. This is basically the objective of my speech today.
Thank you. Rise and Fall, JC Loum. JC Loum, Rise and Fall.
It's a Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and any invisible guest out there. Today, we're going to talk about just life, period. I believe we all understand that life basically comprises of ups and downs. You rise and you fall. Lately, I have been going through personal discoveries. Life has been so unpredictable. Some of it we can say is predictable, but a lot of things, a lot of events that unfold are generally unpredictable. I'm going to talk about two stories that relate to rising and falling. And then we will connect the two stories, and then we will come to a point that will reveal determination. In March of 2022, I left Oakland, California, right here, and I traveled to the Gambia in pursuit of one thing: to erect a building. I went to the Gambia and decided to venture into something very unusual, aside from the objective of building a building. I saw cows, sheep, all these animals just coexisting with people. And I decided that I was going to buy a sheep, one. I bought the sheep and took it to my residence where I stayed. I had a backyard and I can tie it over there. What was amazing is that I kept telling myself, wow, would it not be nice to have the same thing in Oakland? But I'm like, no, who's gonna let you take one sheep and tie it in your backyard and just have all the time to find the food and take care of it and still do the basic necessary life hustles? So I was excited. It's a motivation. I could not do this in Oakland. I'm going to do it here. So I bought the animal and I would go buy food, give it to the animal. We were friends. This thing lasted a consistent period of time. And we became so close that even sometimes when I just come to the house, like if I would have left and I came back to the compound, if he were laying down, the minute he sees me, he'll rise up. So we had a connection. I used to say, he who knows whom feeds you will always do something to say, I'm here. One day, I took him out and we were just walking down the street and I decided to just let loose. We talking, we walking. And at some point, my focus shifted somewhere and I had a gaze at something, and all of a sudden I just felt it, bang! This animal just came and just hit my knee so hard that if I were standing in the wrong posture, dislocation could have happened. Fellow Toastmasters, my conclusion was that that action was an act of betrayal. That's the first story. The second story happened right here when I came back. Three friends of mine were involved in a real estate transaction. They worked so hard on this venture. They bought a house. The intention was to fix it, make it nice. It was a rundown house. So the idea was to rehabilitate the house, fix it, make it nice, and then sell it for profit. All three of them were so dedicated to the project. It took 3 months. The last stage, one of them decided he was no longer interested in this venture. And he decided to put a stop to it. was an act of betrayal. What is consistent between the two stories? The same thing. Somebody decided to betray the other person. So I said I will connect the two stories and I will talk about the impact of those two behaviors to what happens in daily life. What do we do in daily life? We all want one thing: to succeed at any level. The pursuit of success is ingrained in our DNA, I can say. I believe that none of us here can stand up and say, I don't want to succeed in life. Look at the two stories I talked about. You want to succeed, but you know along the way, through the way of success, there are betrayals. And then I said to myself, well, then why bother? Why do I have to bother to do all the things that I should do in order to attain success? I could just stay in my house, in my bedroom. Don't bother with anybody. Don't have to worry about being disappointed, being betrayed, losing something. And then I thought about it again. And I know that that is not sustainable. I read a book that basically directed my focus on success so much more than all these other obstacles that we can face. It was a book written by Robert Allen. He was a real estate investor and he did a lot in real estate. And in the book, it says, you must fail your way to success. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Are you giving me the authority to go and fail? The answer was yes. Fellow Toastmasters, I ran with that. I failed and I failed and I failed until I succeeded. In conclusion, fellow Toastmasters, we are in a life that has all these elements around us, and yet we want to succeed. What do? Do we succumb to all these elements that direct us to failure? Or do we pursue relentless energy towards success? But what I did was the second option. I decided to pursue success no matter what. No matter who failed, no matter who betrayed, no matter who did wrong, no matter who did right. And that was where I put all my energy. In the final analysis, I would say, let's pursue success no matter what. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. We had two great speeches, and our timer, can you give us 90 seconds for the feedback? Thank you, Mr. Timer. Thank you so much. Now, Mike, do you have any joke?
Do I have a joke?
Okay, before
Well-
we go to the table topics, can you tell us some jokes?
Well, I have a question for you, Wes. Do you have any children?
Not biological, but I raised my niece. She called me mama. That's
Okay. Well, she probably has a pediatrician, doctor that specializes in children, right?
yeah.
So here's the question. Why should you not offend a pediatrician? They have very little patience.
Oh,
Now I have some other questions for you going into my table topics. What if we could replace organs by printing new ones? What if we could reprogram our dying cells into youthful ones? What if we could rewrite our DNA to lead us to a healthier future? These are questions asked by Dr. Michael Rosen in his book, The Great Age Reboot, Cracking the Longevity Code for a Younger Tomorrow. He says that researchers have found exponential gains in longevity in test animals, the equivalent to 30 to 70 human years using stem cells, senolytics, and other advances in major research areas of aging. We believe some of these approaches will make it through human safety and effectiveness testing to extend life expectancies by at least 30 years in a decade. He says if you were 25 in 2022, he projects that you will live to 125. If you were 45 in 2022, he projects you will live to 120. If you were 65 in 2022, he projects that you will live to be 110. For Kawaza, if you got an extra 30 years to live, what would you do with all that time?
Well, Mike, as you were reading those interesting little facts and figures, the first thing that came to my mind was your first question. What if we could have new organs? And you know what came to mind for me? And this board is on science fiction. Have you ever worked a 3D duplicator? Printer? I said duplicator because it's a printer. However, on the gross level, it duplicates the gross structures of stuff. But consider this. 10 years ago, who would have thought that we could have a printer that prints 3D stuff that actually replicates the physical structure of something from a cassette to a TV screen, etc. You mentioned stem cells. I find it fascinating that here we are literally tapping into the basic code of replication of who and what we are. Everything from our hair that starts out maybe black or brown, and then at some point in our life loses the color and becomes gray or white. And we can, but that's not the only thing we can affect. So to me, the possibilities and potentialities to affect how one lives one life are growing exponentially. The question is, as you raise, how would one live an extra few years? For myself personally, I would see it as more of an opportunity to really explore this planet. There are places that are almost begging to be visited. Some of them have a population and some of them are totally unpopulated. By the way, rhetorical question, what is it about Antarctica that suddenly has all these cruise ships going there. Frankly, I'm a warm weather guy, and the thought of going to a place where the temperature bounces near zero and you have to layer up is not appealing, but it's happening. So to answer your question, Mike, I would definitely improve my physical conditioning so that I could literally travel to the far-flung corners of the planet and enjoy it.
Thank you, Kawaza. It's funny because my niece took a year off from her job as a accountant in Los Angeles and moved to Antarctica for a year.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway. Okay, another question.
Mike, was she at the science station? It's pretty much like the only place that you can live there. Was she at the science station?
Yeah, she was, I know she was somewhere where there was a lot of big, strong guys that she liked being around.
Oh yeah, they're all at the
Air
science.
Force, it was Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing we go there for is beauty and the whales and the penguins. I was just there for 2 weeks. It was fabulous.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
we flew into Buenos Aires and then cruised down and back and stopped along the way at a number of places, including the Falkland Islands, and it was fabulous. So I would definitely say if you're looking for a cruise, it's a great place to go. That's not my
Awesome.
answer for a table topic, by the way.
Awesome. Okay, let me ask Dee Marie. So Dee Marie, if you had unexpectedly an extra 30 or 40 years to live, would you consider maybe working a second or third career?
If I had an extra 30 or 40 years to live, the crises around the world would be solved. Diplomacy is what is missing, and wisdom comes with age. I would be the wisest person in the room. I could tell them what I know for sure would work. I would be able to spell it out, to lay it out, and present it in such a pragmatic way that they could not refuse it. I would be able to employ all the things that I've learned in terms of rhetorical devices with my voice from Toastmasters. And at some point I could turn and be very impactful with my body and my hand. And they would be so impressed to see someone of my age and stature mesmerizing all of them. They would sign a peace treaty, a global warming deal, feeding the hungry and the poor, and of course, no more domestic violence. Can you not see it? With me at that age, I'd have the wisdom to appeal to their better senses, their better angels, and we would get the job done. I dare someone to challenge me at 150 years old. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Dee Marie. Okay, how about JC? So JC, if you knew you were going to live an extra 40 years, would you make any changes to your diet or exercise program or your investing program so that you would be prepared?
Oh, my Lord, Mr. Table Topics Master. Extra 40 years. I would do everything that Dee Marie said in terms of fixing the world with the numerous problems, the gap between the haves and the have-nots. I would just have a printing machine that prints money. I just give it away. Hey, go buy whatever you want to do whatever you want to do. Don't get hungry, don't be homeless. after I fix all those problems, then I'm going to focus on eating the right food. We all know that health is number one. We can tell. Money cannot buy health. If money could have done something for Steve Jobs, he would have been here with us. Doing the right thing from the beginning. I would teach the kids. You can have ice cream, but very little. Eat your vegetables, eat your right types of food, exercise, stay healthy, because you are going to reach 140. And a friend of mine once told me, if I were to ever get to the point where I can no longer do for myself the basic necessities, I do not want to be around. So that extra 40 years, Mr. Table Topics Master, I'm gonna make sure that I will exercise, I will eat the right food, in addition to everything that Dee Marie said. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, JC. We have time for one more? So I have one for Hank. So Hank, you're probably on that end where you're looking at the 125 years projected life expectancy. But as time goes by and all these people are living longer, there's going to be a lot more people older than 65 than younger than 65. So less workers, more retired people to support. What economic and political challenges do you see arriving from that change in demographics?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. Well, one thing that comes to mind is that if people are going to get older, if people will have a longer lifespan, and they'll enjoy the the benefits of a longer life. One thing that concerns me is population. If people are going to live longer, the world is going to have more people, and so we'll need to figure out ways to accommodate the additional people in the world. The housing may become more expensive if we don't come up with ways to house more people and feed more people. And so it would be one thing that we would need to think about is just what to do to accommodate the extra demand for the resources that we have, and maybe ways to come up with ways to create more resources so that there's enough for everybody. And so yeah, that would be the first thing. Another thing is that as people age, just as a nurse, I know that there are a lot of diseases that have a risk factor that are associated with age, and so as people grow older, it's not guaranteed, like JC said, that it's not guaranteed that their health span would match their lifespan, and so there may be some additional health problems that we would need to treat. So yeah, those are some of the things that I would think about. And now, back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Well, that's about it. Thank you for everyone for your insightful thoughts on the subject. And back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much. Do you have one more question for Lisa?
One more question for Lisa.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what I've got here. Okay, what would you do with an extra 40 years?
What were you doing 40 years ago? Can you imagine and remember back that far? And think about for a moment, if you thought 40 years forward, gee, what will I be doing? So I think around 40 years ago, I had gotten married. I didn't have a house. I didn't have kids. I hadn't worked much, if at all. And I really wanted to get my doctorate. And then life got in the way. The doctorate didn't happen. But I got the house and I got the kids and life took over. And I'm actually still in the same house that I was 40 years ago. I'm sitting on a different couch. But thinking back that far ago, I don't remember thinking, well, what's it going to be like in 40 years? And I don't think that the things that I've been through in those 40 years, I could have ever imagined. So looking forward 40 years from now, it's really difficult to know and to even predict what will happen. I know that if I keep up the pace of traveling that I'm doing right now, I'm going to run out of money. So forget the health issues that we all face and the food issues that we all face. I think investing is a really good idea so that we can make sure that whatever nest egg we all have, and we're all about the same age, whatever nest egg we all have grows and we're able to stay retired for those next 40 years. As I enter this retirement period, which I've been in for about 5 years, I really am enjoying Toastmasters and public speaking, and I look forward to speaking for as long as I can about my platform, which is organ donation, organ transplantation. I'd love to think of a time when we don't have to think about that, but I don't think it's coming soon enough. And as our health changes and deteriorates, I think that we're going to need to plan for that future. So I wish you all well in your next 40, and hopefully we'll all be here to keep speaking and leading together. Back to you, Master Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. That was a great question, and I think it makes us to think. And I like Lisa's answer, or where I was 40 years ago, but maybe literally the same thing the next 40 years too. You know, sometimes our habit constantly change because unless we're living intentionally, we can change. Otherwise, if we live randomly, the past 40 years, the future 40 years literally will be the same. But I love her conclusion as well. And let's live together the next 40 years. Let's speak. Let's speak. So communication is the key. At this point, I think I'd like to call our general evaluator to lead the set part of our meeting, Mr. G.E., Dr. Cartwright.
Dr. Wade.
Sorry, Dr. Wade Cartwright, not Mr.
Now that I am unmuted, let's go on with our meeting so our speakers can communicate their evaluation of each other. Our first speaker was Dee Marie, Sky King. And her evaluator was the one and the only JC Loum. So, JC, tell me what you thought about D. Marie's speech. Give us your evaluation, sir.
Well, Mr. General Evaluator, I will certainly tell you what I thought or what I think about Dee Marie's speech. As Weston was speaking, she used the word that I love. She says, living intentionally. And I'll just start with that, Dee Marie. It appears to me that you have a purpose-driven life. You are living your life with intentionality. Your speech is about leadership, planning, skills to develop and deliver a speech about lessons learned. And you basically started with a question. Well, that's pretty good. What else do you do to get us engaged? A good question. And we're like, okay, we're ready to hear this thing. And by the way, my answer is such and such and such and such. To me, the speech was organized, so I followed it. Okay, there was intentionality in your speech. We all heard this speech. I'm not going to repeat exactly what you said. I'm just going to tell you what I saw and what I felt. Few things you talked about in the body of your speech was how pathways opened up the world to you. I can connect with you because I felt the same way. I remember when Pathways was first introduced, I'm like, you know, whenever something new happens, you're just resistant to it. But as I go through it, I discovered exactly what you discovered. Okay. Your speech was impactful. It was educational. It was motivational. Yes, I know you have a huge impact on my wife. She wants to be a DTM now. Before it was, yeah. So you have done something good. And you continue to empower people through your words and through your actions. I wrote something and then I kind of rewrite it again because I was like, oh, Dee Marie could have used a little bit of vocal variety, but in the end, you just smashed us with that. And I'm like, cancel that one. So it was a great speech, a really good speech, because it was, you know, you connected with us. You're talking to us about pathways, and which we're all familiar with. You're talking to us about leading a purpose-driven life, which I love. And I could not see too much of something to develop. The only thing is that your hands, I saw them occasionally, perhaps due to the fact that the way the camera and all that was positioned, I would have loved to see it more, like I should have stood up and do all that stuff, which you did. Very good speech. I always love listening to your speeches. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Well, thank you, JC, for your evaluation. I enjoy your evaluations. So let's have someone else evaluate you. And that someone else is the one and the only Dee Marie Sky King. Take it away, Dee Marie.
Thank you for that unusual introduction, Mr. General Evaluator. But JC, I am always mesmerized by your voice. The quality of your voice just impels me to listen. And you started out by saying this speech is about life, period. And I actually just wrote a period behind the word life because that's what you said. Life, period. And then you talked about the fact that you were going to be talking about the ups and downs. And as you delivered your speech, I realized that those ups and downs were successes and failures. And you told us in your delivery how we would deal with those successes and those failures. You used two specific stories to show us what betrayal looked like from your perspective. And then you combined those stories or pulled out the commonality in those two stories so that we could understand how to deal with betrayal in our daily lives. Because you said we all want to succeed. Then you read this book by a real estate tycoon. And the book instructed you to fail your way to success. But in your story, as you gave the speech, I think you got carried away because you said, I failed and I failed and I failed. And I thought, hold it. Don't get trapped in failure. But you stopped. And I was glad. You said you were able to fail your way to success. And that was wonderful. I remember the part where you digressed with the sheep. And I was wondering at first where you were going with that. But then when the sheep betrayed you, an animal that you had befriended and done all these things, and then he betrayed you. The friends that purchased the house together, and one of them betrayed you. What I was able to see is that failure sometimes is lurking and we don't even see it. We put our trust in things or people or even an animal, and they fail us, which causes us to fail. But you pulled it out by saying you can fail your way to success. That means resilience, discernment, because you have to be able to see that you failed or you won't even know that. And then you get to the point of succeeding. Love the speech. I love the message that you gave. If I were to give you any stretch goals at all, the first one, as you well know, would be that you would stand. I would ask you to do that. And I think, aside from that, the hand gestures and body movements would be more apparent if you were standing. Your speech was impactful. It had a very good message. And the two stories had me on the edge of my seat listening to see where you were going. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Dee Marie, for that wonderful evaluation. Next, we're running out of time, so I'm going to move ahead. Next, let's have our word master grammarian give us a report. Kawaza?
Mr. General Evaluator, Vision Masters, Toastmasters. Frankly, I was listening so intently to the speeches and what was said that I did not pay close attention. I did not exactly hear the word of the day. However, in their comments, the evaluators and several of the people who responded to the table topics used their understanding of communication and the way they delivered their comments. And I would just like to impart that it's not so much using the exact word of the day. Yes, it's there to show that we have an understanding, but even more so, the ability to demonstrate how we can utilize that word in our communication rather than just a specific word itself is more important. So, Mr. General Evaluator, I'm not going to give a commentary about who did or didn't use the word of the day. From my listening and hearing the respondents in the table topics and the commentary in the meeting, everyone, there was no major flubs, no serious ifs, ands, ahs, or ums or uses language. Back to you.
Thank you, Father, for your report. And next, let's hear from the timer. Hank, can you give us your report? I don't see you on my screen, but yes, I do. Now I see you better.
Oh, no, thank you. Yes, so today we had the first speaker was Dee Marie Shai King, and her speech was 7 minutes and 10, or her speech was 7 minutes and 10 seconds. And then the second speaker was JC Loum. His speech was 10 minutes, 50 seconds. And with table topics, Kwaza was the first table topics speaker. His table topic speech was 2 minutes, 51 seconds. And then second was Dee Marie Shai King. Her speech was 1 minute, 31 seconds. And JC Loum was third with the table topic speech that was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then I was the fourth speaker, and my table topics response was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And the fifth and final was Lisa Thompson, who was 2 minutes and 15 seconds with her table topic speech. Then finally, with the evaluations, JC Loum's evaluation of Dee Marie Shai King's speech was 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And the second evaluator, Dee Marie, was her evaluation of JC's speech was 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Hank, for your report. Let me say that this was a very interesting meeting, and what I like about Toastmasters is that it gives me a chance to be with interesting people, and everyone here is very interesting to me. So having said that, and having said that, we started on time, and let's try to end on time, and so I'm going to say now back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you, everyone. Really, we had an interesting and very exciting meeting. I enjoyed the meeting tonight. I love both speeches, and I learned from their evaluation too. They give good feedback to each other. Then I learned from them from both the evaluation. And thank you, everyone. And we don't have time. And I think Lisa has a question. You raise your hand.
Yes, can I make a brief comment?
Sure.
So we've been working really hard on putting the conference together, and considering that all of you have this wonderful presidential distinguished club, it would be wonderful if you all join us on Saturday for the conference. The house will open at 7. It closes at 5. If you just come for the contest, that part is free. Or you can tune in on Zoom. Again, that's free if you're just there for the contest. If you're there for the body of it, you'll need to pay for either Zoom or being there in person. And we're doing post toasties at, gosh, you guys know this place better than I do. It's Round Table Pizza. It's in San Ramon, and or Roundhouse Pizza, something like that. If you look at the website for District 57, all the information is on there. Please look, please join us. We'd love to have you. And again, I'm happy to honor you with being presidential distinguished at the conference. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that announcement. And I will be representing the club as I plan to be there in person. So
Wonderful, Kwaza. Thank you. I'll be there on Zoom from New York.
of course.
Thank you. And back to you. Return the meeting to over our president. And thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
I just want to thank you for being the Toastmaster for tonight's meeting. I want to thank Hank for doing double duty, doing the tech host as well as timer. Thank you, Mike, for the table topics. Very interesting. And of course, I need to give a thanks and attention to our wonderful speakers. The theme was imparting your message, and both of our speakers definitely did that in their speeches. Not so much in terms about talking, but it's what you're saying as well as how you're saying it. And their speeches definitely demonstrated that quality. So thank you, everybody. We will be entertaining volunteers for various roles for next week's meeting. Please feel free, send me an email and let me know if there's a particular role that you are just really wanting to fill. And that's it. Everyone have a good evening, good weekend, and I'll see you either virtually or live Saturday. Good night, all. Thank you.
Adios, amigos. Adios.
So is anyone else from your club coming, Quasi? Oh, Quasi